not even mean Bauer's game for me.
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back in today for another game review, and today we're excited to check out Air, Land, and Sea from Arcane Wonders. This is for 2 players. Age is 14 plus. It'll take about 20 minutes to play. And in Air, Land, and Sea, this is a really simple head-to-head battle game where you're trying to have control of 2 of the 3 different theaters of war, which are, of course, Air, Land, and Sea. And on your turn, you have one of 3 choices. You can either play down a card face up, which will normally give you some strength and some cool special ability, or you can play it face down, wherever you'd like, but that's only going to give you 2 strength. Or, the interesting aspect about this game, the really interesting aspect about this game, you can just give up. And you can just say, you know what, I think you've won this this battle, so to speak, and you can award your opponent victory points. But here's the catch. As you spend more and more of the cards in your hand, you're going to be giving your opponent more points when you finally either lose or when you finally either concede to them. It's a very interesting little micro-esque game, but is it good? Let's open it up, and I'll tell you what I think. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Air, Land, and Sea. So first and foremost, we're going to handy-dandy rule booklet. 10 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples. Very well done. Should have you up and running in no time at all. So big thumbs up on the rule booklet. Also, I can give you a good feel for how the game is played, because it is a relatively simple game, clocking in about 20 minutes. So in Air, Land, and Sea, what you're trying to do is you're trying to have control of 2 of the 3 different categories, being, of course, air, land, and sea. This is, I guess, during World War II, I'm guessing. You're going to do that by playing down cards, and you have 2 choices, really, on your turn. You can either play down a card face up, where you're going to get both the number and the text effect, but you have to play it on the specific matching color, or you can play it face down, wherever you'd like, but it only is going to give you 2 power on that theater, and they're called theaters. Relatively simple, you go to 12 points. But let's go over the components, then we'll get into the gameplay. So component-wise, you're going to have the Air, Land, and Sea. These will get shuffled up each and every time. You're going to have a first player and a second player card, which are different. And this is one of my biggest cons with the game. It just doesn't feel balanced. The first player wins ties, and it feels like their cards left in your hand aspect is actually better. Because one of the really unique aspects of the game, and what really drew me to the game, and why I'm going to tell you that I like it quite a good deal, is the fact that you're not actually going to finish every round. So if you do finish every round and everyone has 0 cards left in their hand, then whoever wins is going to get 6 points. But what you can do if you feel like you're going to lose based on the cards you have in your hand or based on what your opponent has done is you can concede on your turn. So I talked about how you can play down cards. The other choice you can do on your turn is just say, I give up, I quit. And depending on the number of cards left in your hand, that's how many points the opponent is going to get, which is a really interesting mechanism. I like it an awful lot. But as a buddy of mine who tried this at Origins as well said, it just feels like being the first player is way, way, way too stinking good. But we'll talk more about that in pros and cons. Anywho, whoever's first player is going to go first. You're going to deal out 6 cards to each player, and then you're going to look at your cards and see what you can do. Now, normally, the lower number cards will have better special abilities, whereas the higher number cards, and there are 3 6s in the game, are just going to be big old 6s. So, let's see what we got. You can gain +3 strength in each adjacent theater. So that would help me only in land. You know what? Maybe I'm going to come out heavy. I'm just going to put this big, heavy bomber right here on the 6th. And then it comes over to my opponent's turn, and he's going to play a card as well. So let's see what he's got. You may play battle cards of strength 3 or less in non-matching theaters. Flip a battle card in an adjacent theater. If a battle card is played in an adjacent theater with 3 or more cards already in it, then nothing happens. So essentially that one locks it down to only having 3 cards. You know what? He's going to come out swinging too. He's going to say, oh yeah, you got a big old 6? I got a big old 6 too, right there, buddy. So then I'm coming over here. You gain +3 strength. Airdrop on your next turn. You may play a battle card to a non-matching theater. That's great because that will let me play the support in the middle, which will give me 1 here, 3 here, 3 here. So I'm going to put bam. So I have pretty much locked down air for the most part. I've got 8. Unless, of course, he can do something super awesome. So he's taking a look at his hand. He's like, man, I've only got 7 grand total. Ooh, so this is an interesting... No. You know what? At this point, I think this guy might just give up. He might just say, you know what? I'm calling it. No, he's still got green. You know what? All battle cards covered by this card are now strength 4. So this is a really good card, but only if you can cover other cards. So if I were to play it like right there somehow, that'd be great because that would become, well, that actually would break even. You know what? This guy's probably just going to call. He's going to say, you know what? I concede. I've got 5 cards left in my hand, and you're going to gain yourself 2 points. So not too bad. This person gets 2 points. We pick up all the cards. we switch out the first player thing. And as you can see, there are some cards that are not in play from round to round. We mix these up a little bit. And then you're going to reshuffle, redeal, and continue about on your merry way. So let's just take a look at some more of the cards and get you out of here, because it is a relatively simple game. First person to 12 points wins. If either player plays a battle card face down, immediately discard that card. So they play it like this, it's gone. And that's a persistent effect. There's going to be persistent effects, and then there's going to be lightning bolts, which happen immediately. Look at the top card of the battle deck. You may play it face down to an adjacent theater. I don't know why you ever would not want to, but I guess there's some instances. Flip a battle card in an adjacent theater. Flip a battle card in any theater. You may move one of your battle cards to a different theater. And I believe there's a grand total of, what, like 18 cards in the game? Let me double check for you real quick. Yeah, 18 cards in the game, so 6 of them are not going to be used from game to game to game. But that, in a nutshell, is what you're going to get inside of Air, Land, and Sea. Alrighty then, Air, Land, and Sea from Arcane Wonders. What are my final thoughts? Let's cover the pros, let's cover the cons. First, on the con side, 2 players, very restricted player count. Also, the theme is about war, which will be a turn-off to some people. The theme doesn't come across that strongly, in my opinion, but still, the theme of war is going to turn some people off. My biggest con that I have of this game, and it was something that I didn't notice when I first played this game at Origins. I played it twice at Origins. I was really hot on the game. I was like, man, I really want to check this game out. And then I took it home and I played it a whole bunch of other times. And the thing that kind of leaned on me more and more and more and annoyed me a little bit more and more and more is the fact that the first player and the second player cards feel very imbalanced. And it just feels like being first player is so much better than being second player. Not only do you win ties, which is humongous, but when you concede, you're also giving away less points. And I didn't understand that. I felt like the blue card should have been the one that's giving away less points, so that way that would kind of balance it out. But as it stands now, just being second player sucks. Like, you just don't want to be second players. And I even played with somebody who was just like, every time they were the second player, they just conceded 2 points unless their hand was stacked. They're like, I'm just conceding 2 points because I really want to have the tiebreaker and I really want to have the other little bonus. And I just feel like that was a little bit of an oversight, and it's kind of odd. I'm sure it's some sort of balancing thing where going second gives you a leg up because you can see what your opponent's doing a little bit more, but I still felt like it was way, the pendulum swung a little bit too much to the red card. I feel like being first player was a little bit too solid in the game. Any other cons that I have of the game? I wish there were more cards in the game. There's 18, which is a good deal, which means you're not going to use 6 cards each turn, but I still wish maybe there was a couple extra ones, but that's mostly just because I really like what all the different cards do. Any other cons I have of the game? Oh, you need to know this is a micro game going into it. The box might tell you it's not a micro game, but you could easily fit this in one of those little AEG love letter style pouches. I think it's grand total of 23 cards. 3 of the cards are big, tokens, and a rule booklet. That's all you're getting in this game. That being said, there is some meat in this game for what you're getting. But that's what I got on the cons. Moving on to the pros, I really enjoyed Air, Land, and Sea. I thought it was a very good, light, 2-player head-to-head dueling style game, and I think this one's going to stick around in my collection because it does something really different, which is that conceding aspect. I really like that. I thought it was a really cool aspect of the game where it's like, you might look at your hand, you might be like, man, I'm going to have a hard time winning anything, and you can just give up, and you give your opponent minimal amounts of points. But then there's also this other aspect of the game where you look at your hand and you're like, man, this hand is awesome. This hand is super stacked. I'm going to crush my opponent. But you don't want to lead on too early to your opponent that you're going to crush them, which means then you're trying to play your lighter stuff out so you can kind of get them to play all their cards, so you're going to be gaining more points. There's more strategy to this game the more you play the game, which I really did like it. And the way some of the cards synergize with each other and you can move things around and flip things over, I really enjoyed that aspect of the cards, and that's partially why I wanted more cards in the game. I really wish it would have came with like 24, 26. That being said, I could see the downsides of that because it's nice knowing what all the cards are in the game. And the more you play this, I think the more you're going to enjoy this game. So in the end, Air, Land, and Sea. Can I recommend it? Absolutely. If you're in the market for a lighter 2-player head-to-head dueling style game. Also, another thing I want to mention, it says ages 14 plus on the box. You can ignore this. I played this with a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old. They had no problem with the game whatsoever. As long as you can read the text on the cards and understand the text on the cards, you should have no problem. So in the end, Air, Land, and Sea, one I can recommend from Arcane Wonders. I thought it could have been great, but I just feel like that imbalance between the first and second player dinked it down just a little bit, but still a really cool game that I liked an awful lot, and I would love to see this conceding. Like, it's like you can play a card or you can just quit. I want to see that in a heavier game. I want to see that in a different game with different mechanisms. I think that's a really cool aspect of this game. But there you go. If you're enjoying what I'm doing, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below. If you want to support the channel, click on the little Amazon associate link down below. And in the comments below, let me know, how much do you hate when you're trying to hold back like a sneeze or a cough or something like that when you're trying to talk on a video or trying to look professional or trying to do anything that where you shouldn't cough, because I really hate that. That's what I've been doing for about the last 4 minutes. And let me tell you, that felt real good to jog that stuff all up. Let me know in the comments below, how much do you hate that? Or do you have any awkward situations where you probably shouldn't have sneezed, you probably shouldn't have coughed, and you felt terribly, terribly uncomfortable about it? Even though, let's be honest, should you really feel uncomfortable about doing a bodily thing like that? Like a fart or a sneeze or something like that? That's just a weird gray area of society. My wife, she does this all the time. Like, I cough really loud, and I got like a loud nose. When I blow my nose, it's just like, and she'll get mad at me. Like, when we're in quiet places, she'll be like, dear, I can't control this. It's not like I'm trying to blow my nose loudly, even though sometimes I do that. But let me know in the comments below. Whatever I ask, this kind of went off the rails. But as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.